She stood by these four heroes as they managed to conquer the unfeasible hunter exams through impeccable teamwork. She cheered on Gon and Killua as they learned Nen and fought their way to the top of Heaven's Arena. What will she do now when she's forced to watch her favorite heroes go up against the Phantom Troop? Villains so sinister that they make Maleficent look like Mojo Jojo. Can she handle it? Or will she be left with emotional scars that will force her to spend more money than she already does on therapy? Find out on this episode of The Ramblings of a Fangirl! While separated from his friends, Kurapika was initially unable to find work due to his inability to use Nen, but with fierce determination and training from a veteran hunter, Kurapika was able to fully master Nen in 6 months. He's then able to put his newly acquired skills to good use when he becomes one of the many bodyguards hired to protect Light Nose from spoiled teenage daughter Neon, who is interested in the many flesh-based artifacts that will be sold at York New City's auction, including a pair of scarlet eyes from the Kurta clan. Not only that, but this brat just so happens to be a Nen user who is able to use her abilities to tell fortunes. This then leads her to warn the mafia that runs the city auction about an impending threat, who just so happens to be none other than our friendly neighborhood Krullo and the rest of the Phantom Troop, who plan to steal everything from the auction. But of course, since the mafia was able to stay one step ahead of them due to Neon's warning, they take the liberty of relocating the merchandise right before the Phantom Troop managed to break into the auction house and slaughter everybody there. And boy, was the mafia pissed off after this attack, and from then on out, a brutal war breaks out between the Phantom Troop and the mafia. And as Kurapika finds himself in the middle of this chaos, he too makes his own strides to seek revenge on the Phantom Troop and retrieve his clan's stolen eyes. But as fate would have it, Kurapika's quest for vengeance would collide with his friend's path to earn money for the auction so they can buy a copy of the legendary game Greed Island. And now Kurapika is forced to decide what's more important, avenging his fallen brethren or his friends. I'm not surprised with the dark tone this show has taken. After all, we've seen Hanzo trying to force Gon to surrender with brute force during the Hunter's exam, we've seen how brutal the Zoldyck family can be, and we've seen glimpses of Killua's struggle to keep his killer instincts in check. So, I knew this show was going to eventually take its darker themes, like sacrifice, trauma, and revenge, and go full throttle with it.
All of this makes me sick. The way my hand feels. The grating sound of each strike. The smell of blood. Every sensation makes me sick. How can you commit such atrocities and not feel anything? How is it possible?
But I'm still glad that the show kept a fair amount of heartwarming moments like this.
But what about your Nen dagger? You can use it on me, can't you?
Yes.
Go ahead. Set whatever rule you want. Just curious, can you make 3 of those daggers?
You can just cancel it, right? Erase the rule as soon as the mission's over?
Killua, Leorio!
Killua and I had a little talk. And since we're working together...
We should risk together. What do you say?
The answer to both is yes. I want you to know I never had any intention of using my dagger on you guys.
Well, then why did you put yourself in danger by telling us your secret?
I wanted to thank you, Gon. No, I wanted to thank all of you for your resolve. And if one of you ends up revealing my secret, which I doubt, I still won't regret a thing. I've been blessed with good friends.
Moments like this really remind you that no matter how bad things are, there is still hope. And remember when I said that Kurapika is best boy? Well, this arc just further cemented my love for him. He's just a fantastic leader. Just look at the way he handles things as the interim leader after the head bodyguard Dalvane was killed. I mean, he told Mr. Nostrum that Neon should leave York New City since it was getting dangerous for her with the Phantom Troop around, and then told the other bodyguards to book a new hotel room for her after discovering that the Nostrum family's information was online. Not only that, moments like this also allow us to see Kurapika's brilliance on full display. Another example of this brilliance is his fight with Uvu, which, by the way, was the best fight of this arc. I mean, Kurapika was able to chain this big brute with unbreakable chains by pretending to be a manipulator, using Nen-controlled chains in order to throw him off, as he kept him wrapped with his conjured chains that he kept concealed with his inn. And speaking of his chains, can we take a moment to appreciate how badass Kurapika was with his chains? And I'm also glad that Togashi managed to provide balance to Kurapika's newfound strengths. After all, Kurapika can't cheat the Nen system unless his eyes are scarlet. And while his change is strong, that's only because he offered his life as a part of his stake retribution. And he'll die if he uses his change on anybody who's not a member of the Phantom Troop. This contract is a prime example of a slowly developing pattern of Kurapika allowing himself to be chained by his desire for vengeance as he seeks to, quote, chain the spiders to hell. Another example of this developing pattern can be seen with the fact that he killed Uvu even though he found the act disgusting. And it's clear that he was impacted by the fact that Uvu told him to go to hell right before he died.
Are those the chains you killed Uvo with? What were his last words?
I don't remember them.
That isn't true.
And it's obvious that the reason why these words impact him is because he knows that's where he'll be going if he continues this descent into darkness. However, he still chooses to remain on this path because he feels like this is the only way to avenge his fallen brethren. Not only does it prove that these chains are the perfect Hatsu for him, but it also reinforces how deep Kurapika's trauma runs. This trauma is further exemplified when we see him break his usual composed demeanor and lash out in violent ways and sometimes act impulsively.
Stop, Kurapika! Wait just a minute! You bastard. Did you really think you could get away from me? You little...
Don't tempt me right now. I don't care who I lash out at. It might as well be you.
The girl's fortune failed to mention this. Therefore, this event isn't significant enough to matter. Or else I am quite certain that it would have come up.
Knowing that moments like this come from a place of pain and hopelessness make me want to hug him and do everything that I can to comfort him. But I am touched by the fact that he still manages to prioritize his friend's safety over his desire for vengeance, which is proven by the fact that he refused to use his judgment chain on any of them and the hostage exchange that occurred at the end of this arc. Damn, is this a review or a fangirl essay about Kurapika? But since we're on the subject of trauma and friendship, Kurapika is not the only one who's struggling with trauma.
You're good enough to recognize the difference in our abilities. You won't catch me off guard.
You can't do it, can you?
Shut up, all right?
If I had money, my friend would still be alive today!
But that's another thing that I like about this show. You see, all these characters are driven by some sort of trauma that they experienced in the past, but they were all able to find solace in each other and form a bond thicker than blood. And as far as side characters go, well, Neon was an annoying brat, and I didn't like how her father was using her fortune-telling ability to further his career. But I loved Melody. I like her abilities to analyze people based off of their heartbeats, and she was very sweet and empathic. And it was great to see Kurapika place his trust into somebody outside of the boys. And I like how she was able to provide occasional comfort to him with her music. All in all, Melody was a little darling, and I hope she could find that cursed music sheet and restore her body to the way it was. But of course, this wouldn't be a York New City arc review if I didn't talk about the Phantom Troop. They're horrible people who do what they do out of greed, but I can't deny that they're cool, ruthless, and intimidating villains. I mean, if Killio's father, a feared assassin, says that his past mission to kill one of them wasn't worth the money, it tells you something. And some of their powers are actually scary, like Shizuku being able to get rid of dead bodies with a vacuum cleaner and Crowell's ability to steal other people's nen. I found it interesting that they do have a set of rules that they abide by, like they don't physically fight each other. I also find it interesting that even though the troop doesn't have a problem killing other people for their selfish goals, they care for each other so much that they would cry and even go to war for their fallen comrades. It reinforces the fact that even though they're evil, they're still human, and that Kurapika is no better than them whenever he commits some sort of act of violence against them. After all, their loyalty to each other is no different than Kurapika's loyalty to his clan or his friends. Hell, Kurapika and Chrollo probably could have been friends if Chrollo wasn't a greedy and ruthless bastard. I also find it interesting that the troop is from Meteor City, which is a city full of undocumented people. Makes them more mysterious. I also wonder if that's why they have such a strong bond with each other. And, freaking course, Hisoka infiltrated their group to fight Chrollo. Freaking course. I'm not surprised, but I found his antics as a double agent interesting, and I liked how he had Illumi help him every once in a while. And I also thought this moment was hilarious.
We can talk, because you aren't a troop member. I can't fight you. Or rather, I'm simply not worth the trouble. Because, you see, he stabbed his judgment chain directly into my heart. I can't use Nen anymore.
But if you were to ask me what I didn't like about this arc, well, I personally couldn't find myself to get too invested in going and kill you a side plot. I just found it dull since there wasn't too many things going on as they tried to raise money for the auction. But I appreciate how they stuck their necks out for Kurapika in this arc.
See them?
Just shadows, not faces. One of them's in the alley.
The other's behind the trash can.
Come on, spiders. I'm ready.
Guess I'll have to take my chances.
Gon!
I'm sorry, okay? I'll stop following you. Just forget it. Him again?
The one you mentioned. This is him.
The other one's here as well. Come on out.
Finks, it's me. Come to the Bajtical Hotel.
With my injuries, you could escape easily. And if you did, I would lose my leverage, and the chain user could kill the boss. So why not run away? Aren't you on his side?
Well, we're his friends. And we all care about him. And we don't want him to turn into a murderer. If an exchange will do the job, that's what we'll do.
So heartwarming. And the little tidbits that we learned about Greed Island, like the fact that it can pull people into the game and that there were 50 Nen users who went in and never came out, made me more pumped up for next season. First things first, we're totally not going to see the Phantom Troop again. I mean, there's totally no point of Gon saying that he didn't feel like it was the end of them. Nope, none whatsoever. And based on what we know about Greed Island, well, I'm not entirely sure what his purpose is anymore. But if I'm willing to place a guess, I'm willing to bet that Gon's father is in the game, and maybe this is his way of trying to bond with his child. You know, try to see how strong he's become. I mean, I still stand by thinking that even though Jing is probably doing some shady stuff, he's not as heartless as he made himself out to be on the tape. When he told Gon that he's going to bolt when he sees him, I think that was his way of saying, I can't wait to see how strong you become. After all, why would he give Gon clues on how to find him if he really didn't want to see him? I mean, that's like trying to hide from a serial killer who broke into your house and say, hi, I'm right here in the bedroom. And not only that, I'm also expecting to see the 50 Nen users who got sucked into the game and never came out and see them duke it out in a battle royale or something like that. Another thing that caught my attention was this.
He's not concerned with whether something is good or bad.
And that shouldn't be much of a surprise. I mean, Gon couldn't give either Leorio or Kurapika an answer when they asked him what kind of hunter he wanted it to be. And that's because he saw marriage in both of their definitions of what it meant to be a hunter. And I'm pretty sure we'll see this conflict come into play either next arc or arcs later on. And not only that...
That's why you should wait 2 months before you start fighting. During that time, I will teach you as much as I'm able.
I'm really sorry, Mr. Wing. But I'm itching for a fight right now! No way! If you guys resort to any means, then we won't hold back either!
Yeah, so a part of me can't help but wonder if we'll eventually see Gon develop into a sort of anti-hero, which would be fitting since I believe that that's the path that Jing took as well. And there's already so many similarities between Gon and his father, as stated by his grandma and Aunt Mito. I also wonder if the way that Killua was acting when him and Gon were first held captive by the Phantom Troop had anything to do with the fact that he's possibly being manipulated by Illumi. And last, but certainly not least, my biggest takeaway from this arc is that I believe Kurapika is eventually going to die. I mean, we already touched upon the Nen dagger in his heart, and like I said in my last video, Togashi is not the type of writer who would mention stuff like this unless it was a concept he planned to explore to its fullest potential. And besides, Kurapika said it himself.
Death is not among my fears. But there's one thing I do fear, and one thing alone. That time will quiet the rage in my heart.
I don't know about you, but that practically spells foreshadowing to me. And that's not the only thing that caught my attention. You see, I looked at the Hunter x Hunter wiki and found out that Kurapika's birthday is on April 4th, which means that he was born on the 4th day of the 4th month of the year. And according to the wiki, it turns out that the Japanese culture see the number 4 as a symbol of death. And I know the wiki says that this is supposed to be an allusion to the fact that he wants to kill the Phantom Troop, but one could also take this as foreshadowing to his eventual death. So with all that considered, yeah, I'm not sensing a happy ending for Kurapika. And as heartbreaking as it is to think about, I really can't think of a better end for him, since the main theme of his character is being chained down by his trauma and lust for vengeance. And if I am right in this prediction, all I ask is that his death be handled with care. And that's a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and please like and share this video if you enjoyed it, and feel free to subscribe for more videos. And tell me, who was your favorite member of the Phantom Troop? Comment below and let me know. And stay tuned for part 4 of this series. But until then, Kiki out.